I, 17M, will be coming into a large amount of money when I turn 18. This is money that my mom, who died when I was 7, and my maternal grandparents accumulated for me since I was born. I won't say the exact amount, but it's between $500,000 and $1 million. The reason it's that much is my grandparents ran a successful business for many years and they sold it 18 months ago, and all the money from that sale went to me. They kept none of it. My grandparents have control over all of it currently. Before my mom died, she left them in charge of the account where she was saving. She was married to my dad at the time but had wanted to secure my future in case anything happened, like dad remarrying and having additional kids. She didn't want to run the risk that once she was gone her money could be used for someone who wasn't her kid. My dad knew some money had been saved for me by mom but was never aware of how much or little it was. He also had no idea my grandparents continued saving for me. My grandparents told me about the money over a year ago. They wanted me to prepare for my future and to know I would have so many options because of the money available to me. They also mentioned it never bringing back my mom but could alleviate the burden of becoming an adult. So here's the deal. My dad did remarry. He has a stepdaughter, 16, and a son, 5, with his current wife. They are not wealthy and my dad's wife has prepared her daughter to try and work hard for scholarships and financial aid to get into college, because she wants to study to become a lawyer, I think. My dad had similar conversations with me and had sat me down a few times since I learned of the money's existence to figure out what our plans would be. Eventually I told him it wasn't going to be a big concern and I told him about the money. He was like WTF, and then he told his wife and they apparently went WTF together and told me I could be gracious and split the money when I get it between the three of us and give the other two a chance to have a decent helping hand with college. I told them I would not be sharing it because it was created by my family, not theirs. Dad's wife argued that it would be incredibly selfish to take such a large amount of money and blow it all on myself when I have two siblings who could also benefit in major ways from it. My dad told me even giving some of it to them, not a full split, but some money I have left at the end, would be amazing and would help my family out a lot. I told him I wasn't going to. They are so not happy with me. They told me that being selfish with this is not a good way to be. My dad is also pissed that he continued saving for me and diving things equally between the three of us when I have so much I'll have access to in a few months. Comment 1. NTA, but ask your grandparents to put it in a trust until you are 25 and definitely out of your father's house. The trust can pay for college and give you an allowance for other things, but have them or someone other trustees sign off on it so your dad can't access it. As you are only 17, he might try to take control. Have your grandparents take away that ability. Comment 2. NTA. Talk to a financial advisor and your grandparents about being able to set yourself up before you have full access to your money so that you cannot be pressured into giving any away. As someone else said above, do not tell anyone else about your inheritance. While your mother and grandparents have given you a great start, without the proper planning it will be gone very quickly if you do not have a plan. Sorry for your loss and please use this opportunity to set up your future. Comment 3. NTA. The money was for you. If your stepmother keeps bothering you and you don't care about going nuclear, tell her that to make it fair, she needs to leave all her money to her kids and drop dead. Then you'll all be equal. Also, tell your maternal grandparents ASAP about the pressure they're putting on you. Tell the grandparents that you do not and will not consent to sharing a dime. This will prevent your father from lying to them and saying you totally agreed to divvy up the money. My son, 16M, approached me yesterday after school and told me that he didn't want to go to school the next day. I asked him why and he told me that he just didn't feel like going and he was tired of waking up early in the morning. I told him that that wasn't a good enough reason for him to stay home and that if he feels tired when waking up in the morning then he should try and go to get in bed earlier. He got upset with me when I told him that and told me that he needs to stay home for the sake of his mental health. He then told me that making him go to school would only worsen it. I asked him why he thought that, and he told me that the kids and teachers at his school irritates him. This made me concerned, so I asked him if anyone was bullying him or if he was having problems with some of his teachers, and he just told me that he wasn't and he just finds them annoying. I asked him if that was the only reason, and he told me that it was. I understood where my son was coming from and I tried to show my understanding. I told him how I sometimes find my co-workers annoying too, but that doesn't mean I get to skip work just because of it. I told him that if he is serious about school being detrimental to his mental health, then I told him that I'll try and find him a therapist to help him manage it. He then got even more mad at me and told me that he doesn't need a therapist and that he only needs time away from school. He told me that I don't understand how stressful school can be and that's why he needs time away. I told him that I do understand, and a therapist could be beneficial in helping him deal with stress. He started arguing with me about not wanting to go again, and I just got frustrated. I told him that he has an upcoming doctor's appointment this Wednesday, so there's no need for him to miss both Tuesday and Wednesday. I told him that I don't want him to miss days of school unless they are absolutely necessary. He took this as me telling him that his mental health wasn't important, and then he started telling me that I must not love him if I send him to school. He then told me that if I try and force him to see a therapist, I'll have something else to worry about. I asked him to clarify what he meant by that, but he didn't specify. He just told me not to worry about it and to leave him alone. Cut to this morning. He was very hostile with me from the moment he woke up and was practically ignoring me whenever I tried to speak to him. Then when I dropped him off at school, he told me that he finds it weird that I hate him so much and don't want him to succeed in life. Then before I could say anything, he got out of the car quickly. When I picked him up from school today, I tried to talk about what happened and what he said, but he just ignored me and is still not speaking to me. Comment 1. NTA. But at that age, allowing them a mental health day once or twice a year is not going to hurt them academically, but can teach them the importance of self-care. I let my son do it every now and then. He knows it is there if he really needs it. He does not abuse it. The kids in high school now have been preached to about mental health. Meanwhile, adults were taught to push through. A lot of adults don't know how to do self-care. Instead, they keep pushing through until they crack. Kids learn they don't need a band-aid if the boo-boo is not bleeding. Sometimes, we can't see the boo-boo from the outside, and we need to trust them. Comment 2. If he's communicating these things to you, you need to listen. I'm so sick of parents not listening to their kids. Kids get stressed and need a break, too. His hostility could be him no longer masking. He could be so exhausted of keeping up appearances that he just can't do it anymore. Apologize and ask him what you can do going forward, and what help he might be open to, talking to a counselor or therapist, and make sure he knows it's not a problem to you. Obviously, missing lots of school can become an issue, as would forcing him to go and having him do a poor job, so it's best to get ahead of it if he's told you he's having issues now. Comment 3. NTA. He's missing the next day, and do you also have spring break soon? I'm all for mental health days, but there also has to be some planning involved. BC schools have a limit of how many days you can miss. There is someone in my friend group, Marie, who I consider more of an acquaintance. To be honest, I would not be friends with her on my own, but she is friends with my other friends, so I'm cordial. Marie is very insecure and has thanked us several times for putting up with her and letting her be herself, because apparently she has cycled through several friend groups already since moving here a few years ago. Unfortunately, I can see why. For how insecure she is, she also thinks she's the smartest person in the room at all times, and is always interrupting people if she thinks she can share a fun fact that makes her look smart, even if it means correcting someone on a joke. It feels like she is constantly nitpicking, and often she will dig in her heels and argue about something that she turns out to be wrong about. She's also very touchy-feely and likes to give hugs where she basically drapes her whole body over yours, and she gets upset when I am not, ever, in the mood for one of those hugs. We all got together for a meal this weekend and my entree was a bit spicy. I said I was gonna pour myself a glass of water and Marie starts loudly saying no, don't drink water, water is actually useless for spice, drink a glass of milk instead. And then starts going on a long explanation of why milk was better for spice than water. She absolutely bulldozed over another friend who was in the middle of speaking to say all this, too. I told her that water would be fine and could she please just chill? Marie just wouldn't drop it and kept saying that milk was better and water wasn't helpful for spice. I'm over here like, I didn't eat a ghost pepper or anything, it's like a 3/10, can you fucking relax? At this point a couple other people are telling her to just let me drink water, and she's starting to dig in her heels about how it's tilde objectively better to drink milk with spicy food, and I finally snap at her and say, oh my god, would you drop it already? You complain about how no one likes you for very long, and then you turn around and act fucking insufferable. Just shut up about the milk, I don't care. She breaks down crying pretty much on the spot, and the clamor of some people to comfort her and others to be like, I mean, that was harsh but true, pretty much derailed the whole gathering. Marie said, through another friend, that she is not going to speak another word to me until I apologize. Our other friends are pretty torn and some are saying that it was too harsh because she's younger than the rest of us, although we are all in our 20s, I'm willing to apologize, but I don't think I'm the only one who did anything wrong here. Comment 1, ESH. Marie sounds like she's autistic, I am as well, I've had to learn not to do what she's doing here. If I'm right, she doesn't understand social cues the way that you do because her brain literally cannot. She can still learn to mitigate some of her behaviors so she's not getting on everyone's nerves, but women are extremely underdiagnosed and it's literally a disability. You, on the other hand, decided to go full nuclear on another human being's insecurities over a conversation about milk versus water. And as far as I can tell, you don't have a disability, so you deliberately chose to be as hurtful as possible instead of just saying you didn't want to talk about it anymore. I'm not sure you could have been more of an a-hole than you were. Comment 2. This is exactly what I thought too, neurodivergent, and the insecurity and unsuccessful friend groups is a huge indicator. I had ADHD that got worse as a teenager/adult and was missed because I don't have the obvious external agitation. Most girls with ADHD appear outwardly calm. But impulsively interrupting people and sharing the first thing that popped into my head, along with mind of someone who hyperfocuses on researching the most random topics, was something I was never really aware I was doing and certainly not in control of. I'd make new friends easily because I would easily make conversation and seemed interesting, but would fatigue people in social gatherings. My granddad passed away in July 2020 due to COVID and Grandma was very upset over his passing. Next, one of my uncles took control of finances, bills, everything. Mid-December 2020, I asked my grandma if she agreed to this, which led to an argument and me and my missus got kicked out of her house. Next day, I got a call from Grandma saying please come home. I never held a grudge and came back to apologize, then to find out that my uncle was pushing Grandma to move south with him and his missus as you don't have anyone here. Turns out Grandma wanted to talk to me about what to do as she was uncomfortable. I simply said if you're uncomfortable, don't do it. You're his mother so he has to agree with your decision. So she told him no and he took it well. Too well. March 2021, Grandma made a will with a local solicitor in their office, but later that evening at home, the solicitor called me and asked if my grandmother had the properties in her name. I said she should do and asked why. She said something didn't sit right with this and wanted to check. I said I'd check and went to land registry to find out, and what did I find? The same uncle that controlled everything had his name on all of my grandma's assets. I asked my grandma if she did this and she didn't even know this happened. I was shocked and immediately told the solicitor, asking what can we do? A legal battle ensued which was over 1 year. Turns out that my uncle fraudulently signed property transfer papers so everything would be in his name. Even my own mum got involved, siding with my uncle. He decided to do a settlement which Grandma agreed to as she was getting sick of everything, including her own kids. He gave her money in return for one of the smaller assets and she wanted no contact with my uncle ever again. Mid-2022, she made a new will and we finally got peace. So, I decided to take Grandma on holidays once every few months, which she loved and made lasting memories. End of January 2024, she was diagnosed with cancer and I told my mum to be here with Grandma as she should settle things with her and make peace with her. Even if my grandma didn't want to see my mum, I just wanted to do the right thing for both. A month later, Grandma passed away at home. Last week, after the funeral, my parents came to the family home to discuss with me and my missus about the houses and the other stuff. They suddenly jumped in, saying you need to do the right thing and give us the house and our share as we are the children and you're just a grandchild. We know you did everything in the last 3+ years but compared to us, you didn't do much. Context: my parents haven't been in this house regularly for over 10 years and I lived here since 2010. Me and my missus simply said sorry, but what Grandma wants to do, it is her decision and not ours. This led to shouting, me and my mum, mainly, and threats of legal action from them. We never mentioned the will, as said by the solicitor. Comment 1. NTA: they all tried screwing your grandmother over, they don't deserve a thing from the inheritance. Don't back down, but make copies of everything they send you, and lawyer up. Comment 2. NTA: tell your mom to go talk to the uncle/her brother to get her share of the property since he stole her share of the inheritance when he committed fraud, and took property that wasn't his to take.